Hello, everyone, and welcome to Team Negan Gaming. We are. Wait, is it? Did you click it?
No,
Shit. Clicky.
because it's still
Clicky, clicky. I'm sure it's live. I'm sure it's live. Everything's fine. Um, my phone is already buzzing. All right. So, hello, everyone, and welcome to Team Negan Gaming, where we envision a future where the vast majority of people can put a face and a name to the products they buy. Feel emotionally connected to the things that they own, and realize the amazing impact they have on lives around the world. Today with us, we have Ian Snyder and McGuire, the creators of Skycadia. I'm Matt, and this is Faith, my co-host for the day. All right, so Ian, since you were on here first, tell us about yourself.
Okay, yeah. So, my name's Ian Snyder. I started making video games like when I was 10, I guess, and that was back in the 90s and on a super old computer called a Tandy 1000. And I basically started off with something called QBasic with my brother, which was like kind of let us do like choose your own adventure type stuff. And even before that would make board games, and we played D&D and all that stuff. And just kind of slowly got into, like, as computers developed, I was doing mods for Doom and Quake, and started making levels for Half-Life and all that type of stuff. And so then out of high school, I made friends with somebody that happened to be a super nerd programmer who is now working at Oculus Research. So that gives you an idea of, like, he was a really good programmer randomly. So so we actually set up a game studio back in like 2004, and made a couple games together. And both of us ended up getting hired at different studios kind of out of the experience of that. And so I ended up working at Gameloft up in Montreal, working on iPhone games. I got hired as a 3D artist, and then I switched over to doing game design, which is what I really love. I still like doing 3D art, but I really like doing game design. And then from there, I kind of went to teaching at a community college for a while. Then I went and worked at an NCSoft studio as a senior game designer, and then pretty quickly went back to teaching because I like teaching a lot. And kind of throughout all of that, I've always been doing like game jams, and sometimes releasing little games that, like, my wife and I released a game back in like 2010 or 11 on the iPhone that was it was like an iPhone game, but all of the art was hand stitched art that she made that was like featured as an app on the app of the day on Kotaku. So that was kind of fun.
Yeah.
Didn't make us $1 million, unfortunately, but it was fun. And so anyway, I've done a lot of little projects like that. And so I'd say Skycadia now is the biggest project that I'm hopefully actually finally finishing that's not part of a studio. I mean, well, our studio, I guess, but and then McGuire graciously agreed to help me get it across the finish line by doing all the art and everything, because I couldn't decide at all what I wanted it to look like. So I'll let McGuire take over then.
Sure.
I'm writing.
One second. You were breaking up quite a bit there.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Actually, if you want to start off from your end, as like just where'd you grow up and everything, and then up to the point where he left off. How does that sound?
So I grew up in Nebraska, basically, and me and Ian met as he was my teacher in college.
Okay.
Then when I was about to transfer out to another college, because I already finished my credits there, he asked me to join Skycadia and like build off from the game permit. And I thought that was a really cool experience. I basically started game development back in high school, but I've always sort of been interested in games. And I think Ian, when I met him, he's the one that really jump-started me onto like getting more serious about it.
Right.
Not to like pat your head too much, but yeah, that's basically my
a little
story.
Bit. Cool.
Well,
why don't you mention all your board game stuff, because I mean you've done a ton of stuff with that.
But yeah, so a large thing I do is I've been working on a board game for one of my personal projects, and here I have a little few miniatures that I designed.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that's too cool.
But you sell miniatures on eBay and make quite a bit of money off of that, right?
Yeah, I also do eBay sales for miniatures that I like paint off, and I get a good fair amount of money from that. I mean, it like helps out pay some bills and stuff, so I'm
Right.
kind of happy with that.
Where
And
is this little website? Where are you selling?
eBay.
it's just
on
off of
eBay?
eBay, like
He
the
doesn't
same.
even have an Etsy yet. I don't know how
Yeah.
that
Yeah, that's what I
happened.
was thinking. I was like, is it on
I mean, I've
Etsy?
been
No.
I've been working on setting up like a 3D store to like sell
Very
my
cool.
minis off of, but I'm still like trying to get like a big catalog to put on there, just so I know I don't like lose money, you know?
Right, right.
Yeah.
S- So that's
So that's basically my journey so far with this. I've been really enjoying working on Skycadia with Ian. It's been a really interesting experience, just seeing the development process and basically everything about it. Really, yeah.
I don't think it's a normal development process, but it's something anyway.
I mean, that's what makes it interesting.
Yeah, right.
right. Gotta make all the money everywhere you can, whenever you can. Try and get everything situated.
I mean,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Man, that's interesting. Okay, so you own a 3D printer, McGuire?
I own 4 3D printers, honestly.
4 of them. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I'm selling like a lot, man.
I didn't know you had
wild.
that. Oh, do you have them all running so that you can print enough?
Yeah, I print like I have them all running all the time mostly.
I
got
didn't
like
know
a
that. Jeez.
recently I got like a resin printer, but that wasn't for like selling miniatures. That was more for like prototyping my game pieces right now since I'm
Okay.
working. It's like a kind of a bigger project. Think of like it's like a, what is it? It's like an RPG, like a tactical RPG combined with a card game.
Oh, okay.
I basically got the idea from the old Yu-Gi-Oh like
Ooh.
season 0 of Yu-Gi-Oh. That's where I got the idea to like make something like that.
Oh,
That's pretty cool.
nice.
That's
Yeah.
really cool. Yeah, I actually have a friend who's a super what is it, board game nerd. He absolutely loves board games. He runs a board game store here in town called
Oh,
The
that's
Table.
cool.
And so I'll have to tell him about your board game and see what he thinks. We may have you on the show again to show off your board
Oh.
game. Who knows?
Oh yeah, thanks,
That'd
man.
be awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So actually, what else was I gonna say? I was gonna say, like, tell us about like your upbringing, Ian. Like, I don't really know anything. Like, where did you grow up? All of that.
Oh
Like,
yeah. Well, so I guess
and
so. I've kind of lived all over the place because my parents got divorced when I was pretty young, and so like from a very young age, my mom lived in Tennessee and my dad lived in Texas. So I was kind of traveling back and forth between Tennessee and Texas,
mhm.
and yeah. Also, I don't know. I guess I think because of that, I've liked traveling a lot. So since my wife and I got married, I guess about 12 years ago, we've probably I think we've lived at something like 20 different addresses, something
Oh,
insane
wow.
like that. Part of that is because of the game industry, but part of it is just I guess we like moving. I don't know, but so I would say I'm mostly Texan because I went to high school there. I don't know, but yeah, we live in Omaha, Nebraska now, and um, but yeah, I've lived in California, Texas, Nebraska, Washington State, Montreal in Canada, uh, Tennessee. I think I'm forgetting some other places too, but yeah, so we kind of lived all over the place, and yeah, I don't know. I guess I've just always been a nerd, and um, I mean, my main hobby was
Love that.
playing and making video games. I think for a long time, I didn't realize that lots of other people that played video games were not super into. Uh, my kid is slowly trying to inch into this frame here. It's like
That's fine. That's
uh,
fine.
this is the fun of working from home, but um, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Was there like kind of specific stuff you wanted me to touch on or anything, or?
I just want to know about you, man. Like that's what this is all about. So just getting to know you. You're a family man. So how many kids you got?
Three. Our youngest just turned 1, and yeah, that's what we're. I mean, one of the nice things about teaching is basically I have. And here's okay. She's gonna slowly creep in here, but not. I don't know. We'll see. Um, uh, so yeah, basically part of what's nice about teaching is, I have more time to be at home with my family and everything. It's just, obviously it's one of those things as you get older and everything, it's like you're doing crunch time at a studio, like working 50 hours or more a week is not like, like, is this really what I want to be doing with all my time? And it's really nice because, over time I figured out I want to be working on my own projects and stuff like that. And, having some mental space at least to be able to work on things. Yeah. I mean, so Skycadia, like I probably had kind of, I would say 60% of the idea of how it works and everything done within about 6 months of starting it. But then I've been working on it for like 5 years because it's just one of those things on and off in my free time, and trying to decide what I wanted to do with it and realizing I'm always over scoping things. And so that was where McGuire was graduating, and I knew that he was super self-motivated and everything like that. And I'm sorry if it's distracting anybody else. It's like, this is literally what's happening all the time off screen for me. So it's like, there's probably going to be a dog. I have a cat on me right now. I don't know. I think right now we have 27, animals. That's including, like, we have a cricket farm going right now. And
no, we got rid of the worms.
We got rid of the worms. So I guess we have we did have some worms in here. We've got 2 dogs, a cat. Chicken eggs that we're waiting for those to hatch. So I don't know why. He's like, why do we have animals? It's insane.
Yeah, I can't believe you have this many animals in your house, Ian. The last time I was over there, I just saw 3 dogs and one in a diaper.
One in a diaper?
We do have a dog in a diaper too. People are like, why is your dog in a diaper? I'm like, it's not for fun, for me anyway.
Oh goodness. What's your daughter's name? She keeps coming on camera so that we can.
This is my middle daughter, Story, and she's about to turn 7 actually, and she's been really interested in messing around with computer stuff. I actually, believe it or not, I mostly try to keep my kids off screens as much as possible and everything because I'm like, you don't want to be like me, but actually, probably even a year or 2 ago, I started letting her mess around with like a Wacom tablet, playing around with painting in Krita, which is kind of like a Photoshop alternative, and messing around in Blender, doing sculpting and stuff. And she really enjoys that type of stuff. So
that's awesome.
Like, you can slowly start doing that type of stuff, but not too much, not too much yet. So.
Right. So, okay, we're gonna have to transition over back to McGuire because he hasn't had the chance to talk a whole lot. McGuire, your name is so cool. You actually have 2 capital letters in your name. That's pretty impressive. So, you
I have more power over people that way.
Yes, you do. You do. I think that's how that works. So, you told us something unique about your name. You were named after someone.
Yeah, I was born around 1998. So I was born around when Mark McGuire hit his home runs, I think, and that's how my parents found the name for me. So I sort of just have been wandering around the world with McGuire as my name, and every person I meet is like, "Oh, how'd you get that name?" You know?
Yeah. Too cool.
Yeah.
Actually named after a baseball player. Good stuff.
I'm just gonna pipe in real quick. My name's a little bit similar because I think I was named after some musician from the 70s or whatever, like Ian, I think it's Ian Anderson or something like that. But so kind of similar thing. It's like, hey, I like that famous person's name. I'm just going to name my kid that.
Too funny.
That's how we met, I guess. That was destiny.
It was destiny, yeah.
It was destiny.
Before time ever began, you guys were destined to be together. Both named after other people, famous people. So tell us more about your upbringing, McGuire. Like, what brought you? You told us you grew up in, I can't remember the state. Sorry, Nebraska, and then you went to college. But there's a whole bunch there that's missing. So.
When I was little, my parents met in Nebraska and had me there. Then they moved back to the Philippines because I'm half Filipino.
Oh, okay.
And they lived there for a while. Then my sister was born there. Then we basically moved back here, and that's sort of how like my life kind of started back to all the way till kindergarten, I think. Then after that, I basically just sort of buzzed around life. I don't know how to exactly put it, just trying to figure out what I was gonna do. Originally, back in high school, I wanted to go in and be like go into assistant nursing, but that job got really depressing. Both me and my sister worked in the hospital, and it was just like, no, thank you. Yeah. So I kind of shied it off and decided to go into game design because I was already interested in that in high school. And I tried out a few game jams, and then I joined Ian's class, and that's how I sort of met him and got to work on Skycadia.
Oh, very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Ian,
I'm sorry, he's much older than me. I don't have as much life as him.
I'm an old man.
Ian, whenever you met McGuire, what class were you teaching?
I don't know. How many classes did you take with me, McGuire?
I took like a few.
5?
Yeah, I think the first class was just game design fundamentals when I first met you, and I sort of like did a few game jams.
Oh yeah,
then.
that's right, because his first class with me was game design fundamentals, and so in game design fundamentals, normally pre-COVID, we would do a lot of making board games and card games and stuff like that before we got into digital stuff, because I think a lot of people don't realize, like, game designers, like, the main thing you're doing is coming up with the rules for how a game is actually functioning. So there's a lot of kind of logic behind planning. If I'm going to ask programmers to do all this work or whatever, then or if I'm even going to be the programmer prototyping and stuff like that, it's a lot faster to be able to plan things out on paper before we commit a bunch of time to programming. Well, anyway, so McGuire was in that class, and normally students are making, like kind of, stuff on cardboard and paper and everything like that, which is fine. It's for prototyping, but like maybe his first pass was like that, but then like the second pass, he had everything like printed out in color, and like he was putting a ton of effort and time into it. And I think he made, I don't know if this was the first one you made, but he made kind of like a Mega Man card battler type of thing, which
I have that right here.
I'm going to be rude and say, I don't know if the first couple of iterations were super fun, but I knew there was a lot of potential with it, and I knew how much effort he was putting into it. And so, and then, it was just as we kept going, he would be like, oh yeah, I model these miniatures, and he shows me stuff he's doing in Blender that's like way beyond what a lot of students are doing in an intro to 3D modeling class or anything. And I knew he had already done some game jams before and stuff like that. So, I was impressed. Finding somebody that's self-motivated is always exciting, because like as a teacher, it's like, yay, you're already doing this stuff, so you're not starting from scratch,
Right.
So, I don't know.
Cool.
I actually have a few of the cards I made.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Ooh.
You have those all digitally designed, don't you?
Yeah, I designed them all.
I guess you'd have to screen share.
Well, I had
it,
to do it in Photoshop when I made it.
And you said this was based off Mega Man?
So cool.
Yeah, it's like a deck building Mega Man game. Kind of think like
okay.
Have you ever played StarCraft, or I forget what it's called? It's like a ship deck building game. It's kind of like inspired from that, but
I know what you're
like
talking about, but I can't remember the name either right
I
now.
don't know it at all.
it's basically that. Plus, you get to play as have extra bonus abilities by playing as a boss.
Oh, okay.
You know? Yeah.
Cool.
That's really neat.
Dude, like you guys both have like so many like skills and things that you've done. Like there's a lot of cool things I'm hearing here. Like I wouldn't have known any of this about you if I just was like, hey, this looks like a neat game and played Skycadia. This is actually cool to actually meet you guys. This is neat.
Well, thank you. Yeah. Well, actually, I've already found out several more things about McGuire that I don't think we've ever talked about just from this. So it's pretty fun.
Nice.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's good. So let's get back to the questions. Like, we went down several rabbit holes, I think. We only got to the first question. All right. No, that's all right. I love it. That's like what it's all about here. First game, let's see. Yeah, what's the first game that you ever built an emotional connection with? We'll start off with McGuire this time.
I think it was back in elementary school. because I know I started back in high school, but elementary school I made a few games, and one that I really liked was I drew out a bunch of Pac-Man character-like things, and I can't remember the specifics, but basically it was like a Pac-Man RPG that I passed out to the other kids,
Oh, cool.
and it got kind of popular, except for the fact that it didn't have any rules, so no one knew how to play. So I would like give them out to other kids, and everybody just started collecting them.
Wait, what grade was that?
It was like the end of my elementary school years, I think. I can't
Yeah,
remember the
cool.
specifics.
Aw.
I just always remember that, and I'm like, oh, that's like one of the first things I ever did with games.
That's super.
But it was like a total flop, to be
Right.
completely honest.
Well,
I mean,
I don't
They still
know.
collected the cards though.
Yeah,
you
if
said, right?
the kids collected those cards, I'd say that was a pretty good
Oh, yeah.
success, especially for someone your
Yeah.
age.
Made no money on it.
No, well,
Yeah, just still
hey, yeah. You got the word out, right? That's important.
Yeah,
McGuire's in town making awesome games. See him in the future. He's gonna make bigger things. And you are. How about actual games on the computer? Let's say. What's something that like really speaks to you? Do you have anything that you can think of that it's like?
Or on like just a normal console, older console, or
One of my first Game Jam games, I did it for like a extra credits Game Jam. It was like a little ghost game where you could swap colors and pass through walls. It's on my itch.io page. It's called Hyena Lobster for my itch page. The game's called Phantom Passage. It was like one of the first Game Jam games I actually like really committed to and actually finished, which I was really proud of. Like before that, I used to work on a few RPG Maker games and titles like that, but I never published anything from them. I think one of my favorite ones from that though is I just made a really really generic RPG, and that's like the whole point of it. And it was very much like, oh, this doesn't have a story,
Right.
basically. But I really
y'all-
enjoyed it because it was like the most generic thing I ever made.
Were you all asking about like kind of one of his earliest games that he played?
Yeah, that he played.
Yeah,
but
okay,
that's
yeah.
that's fine.
Oh.
If you
No, I know
stuff that
that's.
you created
I thought
too,
this
like,
was all
you're-
interesting too.
Yeah, this is
Earliest
all
games that I
interesting too, so
played,
I didn't
I'm
want to
I'm
interrupt
so
you.
sorry.
That's all right. Don't worry
Um,
about it. Like that's good. That shows that you have an emotional connection to the things that you make too, which is important, right? Like it's good to see that you really feel like, wow, yeah, this is amazing. Like I can make something that people can enjoy, and that's good. It's all good stuff. So yeah, if you want, you can share with us like the one first game that you played that you felt a deep emotional connection with. I'd love to hear it.
The first game I played that I really liked was like a Beat-A-Man game. If you remember what Beat-A-Man was, it's like these little guys that shoot marbles out of their stomach, basically. I know it sounds
What?
weird. It's Japanese.
Oh, that explains everything.
Yeah.
Say no
Yeah.
more.
So basically, I played through the entire game, and when I finished it, there was like a little cat that would talk to you, being like, "Hey, we're the developers from that game. We thank you for playing and making it all the way through." And I thought, "Oh my god, this is so cool! I forget that people actually
What is this
make
called?
this."
Beta Man? What are you talking about?
Yeah, it's called Beat-A-Man. It's like
How do
it
you
was like an
spell
old
that?
Game Boy game, like B, then a dash, then Da Man.
Oh, B
Oh,
Dub.
be
Oh,
different.
what?
be the
Yeah.
man.
It was basically what was it? It was based off Bomberman, actually. Now that I think about it,
Oh, okay.
like a spin-off from that.
Like
Wow, it's on like Game Boy Advance, and yeah, I don't think I've ever heard of this, but interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I'll check it out more later. That's too funny. All right, cool. All right, and Ian, how about you tell us about your the first game that you've played that you felt a deep emotional connection with, or really
Like a
really
deep
liked?
emotional. Well, I mean, I guess my earliest gaming memory is just like the Super Mario Brothers / Duck Hunt
Yeah.
NES
Yeah.
cartridge. Not that I had a super deep emotional connection, but I guess maybe in a way you could say, because I, obviously super enjoyed all that. But I guess one of the earliest ones I could think of that might be kind of an emotional connection would be like Myst on the PC, which is like
Ooh.
released in
That sounds really familiar.
1993. It was the best-selling video game of all time
Yeah.
until The Sims came out. So kind of a big deal.
MYST, right?
It's-
MYST, Mist.
MYST. So
That's
Myst is
what I'm
like
picturing.
it's like a
Yeah.
first-person What do you know about The Witness now?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I remember
It's
this. I was looking at maybe buying this and trying it out.
I would
That looks
probably
really cool.
recommend going with if you want to buy. I think on Steam now they have Riven. I just bought it. Riven is the sequel to Myst, and you can just play Riven without having played Myst. And I think it's probably going to be a better experience.
Mm-hmm.
I actually just bought Riven because I'm going to start playing it with my daughters,
Aw.
uh, and it's just I think believe it or not, I think the graphics actually still stand up pretty well. And then, but really, it's like a first-person puzzle exploration game.
Mm.
But the
Mm-hmm.
music and the setting and everything was like I can still think of the sound effects and stuff like that when you're even just when you're walking around and stuff. There would be little sound effects, and um, I think that was probably, I don't know, I've never really thought about it, but Mist does kind of stand out to me as like one of the first times where I was like, man, there's this really interesting, mysterious world that I can go explore that's not like a book or a movie or something. And
Mm.
because I guess probably up to that point, most of the video games I had played would almost always be kind of action style games. Not that not that there weren't adventure style games and stuff like that before, but I don't really like. I don't know if I just wasn't exposed to them or what, but
Mm.
so yeah, probably missed for me, which I'm kind of surprised. I've never really. It's a good question. I've never really thought about it that much.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
Let's see. Someone actually said in the comments, Mystery Mastered was pretty cool.
mystery.
Nice.
Yeah, I haven't tried any of the remasters or anything either, and I've heard good things. So,
Mm.
Nice.
but I'm scared of the puzzles still. So.
Gotcha. Cool. All right. So, what about game development? Drew you in initially, Ian?
I mean, I think I just kind of
It was,
stumbled.
yeah.
Yeah, I kind of stumbled into it because I think it was, I mean, very early on. Well, so kind of the way I guess we got started with, I was talking about on that Tandy 1000, which by the way, if you look up what a Tandy 1000 was, I mean, it was top of the line for whenever my dad bought it. But
Mm.
if, and this is getting so old, you probably don't even know, but like when Doom came out, like a brand new computer was called like a 386 processor, and there was
Mm-hmm.
like 486 processors and stuff like that. Well, the Tandy 1000 was just 86. It was like it was very old. And then the one we had didn't actually have a built-in hard drive. Everything had to run off of those 5 1/4 floppies, and they're the ones that were like
Oh.
actually floppy.
Oh,
and
okay.
Yeah.
and if you look those up, they're big.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I still remember we would start up like QBasic took about I want to say like 40 seconds to start up, which is like on a modern computer it literally starts like right when you like if you hit
Mm.
enter to start QBasic, it's open already essentially.
Mm.
So that might give you a little bit of idea, but um, yeah, it was. I guess we had that computer, and I guess we might. I don't even know if we had an NES or if I just played it over at my grandparents' house or something, um, but we had that computer and there were probably a couple really basic games on it and stuff. And so my brother and I were just always exploring, well, what else can we do with it? And I think that's how probably my brother got into, he's older than me. And so he probably started messing around with programming,
Mm.
and I could watch and be like, change that to make it rainbow colors instead of blue or whatever, that type of thing.
Mm.
And then it was just from there, I guess, uh, yeah, it just seemed kind of natural to me to keep exploring. I would say for me, the big thing was Doom coming out and being able to make levels for it. And then
Mm.
eventually doing like, you could do what are called total conversions where you could replace all of the art assets and everything. And that was kind of where I really got into like enjoying game development. But I mean, at that time, it did not really hit me that I could actually make money doing game development stuff until at least later on in high school, and it still wasn't really serious to me until later. But
Mm.
Okay. But that's what got you in. You kind of stumbled in on it when you were a kid, and just little by little, you're like, "Oh, this is really neat." So it's the exploration, right? It's this whole
yeah,
like fun thing that you can do, and it's It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Yeah, I remember the big floppy disks, the big old ones. We had them in my house when I was growing up. My dad was always on computers for his work and everything. So we had.
That's
all
what I'm
kinds.
doing to my kids. I'm trying not to do it too much.
So and then even when I went to school in Seffner, Florida, school doesn't exist anymore. The Academic Achievement Center, but it's this little tiny school, and Dr. Stark, our teacher, had like these big old like computers, and he's had those big old discs that you could put in to play games and stuff, like old stuff. Anyway, it was interesting. I believe so. I believe I'm remembering that correctly, or I'm mixing two memories together. You never know.
I do that too.
Same with you, McGuire. What got you interested in computer game design and all of that specifically?
I don't really know that well. I guess I've always sort of felt a pull to it, because one thing I always wanted to do was like get really good at programming, learning stuff like that, and that's kind of what I'm in college for at the moment. A big thing that pulled me in though was just getting access to game engines and sort of trying them out and just getting more interested in them. Like, because I know I studied different things back in high school because I didn't know what career path I wanted to go on, but game development's always been something in my life and always something I've been interested in doing. So when I went into college, I sort of like leaned into that more and more until I just was like, fuck it, let's do this then.
Right, gotcha.
Yeah.
Did you start with RPG Maker, McGuire? Do you remember like what first game engine you started playing around with?
The first one I played around with, this is gonna sound more obscure. It was like a Pokemon game engine thing, and then yeah, really. Then I moved to RPG Maker, and that's when I started actually making stuff. I never really posted anything though, but I kind of regret doing that now because I wish I could look back at my old work.
Right.
Honestly. Yeah, but then after that, I went into learning Game Maker a little bit, then went into learning Unity when I met Ian in his class, and I've sort of been on the stroll there, basically.
Okay, cool. Very simple. Just always loved it. Can't think of a time that you didn't love it. Got it. Very cool. So I wanted to ask you, Ian, specifically, you have this on your Twitter page, and I was kind of curious about what this picture was. You should know what it is. I looked in Google, like I tried to Google search the image, and I came up with that it's from a game jam, right? So that one where, I don't know, you're probably not going to be able to see it.
Oh, does that actually show up? Yeah.
Yeah, it shows up on your Twitter. Yeah, that header on the top. Like, what game jam was that? Can you?
That was the Global Game Jam of 2016.
All right.
That was at the last school I was teaching at, which was down in New Mexico. Which, yeah, I think I forgot to mention I lived in New Mexico too. I lived in New Mexico for 2.5 years. I love teaching down there, but yeah, so that was super fun. We set up, I tried to do, and I still would like to do that, but everything's kind of crazy right now with even just trying to keep stuff going fully online and everything. But I love doing game jams. I love doing them personally, and then I always recommend students do game jams. And so when I was down there, we set up, when you do a global, okay, I don't know if I should quickly mention, like a game jam generally is where you try to make a game in 48 hours. It can be different time spans, but I would say traditionally a game jam is like making a game over the weekend that other people can actually play, and it's not just like a tech demo.
No, it's a little too far.
So for the global game jam is interesting because I think it's one of the only game jams where you have to actually have like a registered site. You register for it and everything, and so it's a little more official feeling, and which is fun. And so I set our school up where we set up an area to do a global game jam, and we were an official site, and we had like 35 participants registered, which we're in a small town in New Mexico, so I was happy with that. And we actually produced 10 games, which I'm super proud of, because a lot of times smaller groups like that will tend towards a bunch of people working on like a couple of games. And I just really encouraged all of them. Like, I normally wouldn't recommend trying to do a game jam with more than like 3 people in a team. And so yeah, we ended up with like 10 games and that were actually released, and some other people got things that they weren't really ready to release, but yeah, it was super fun. And that picture is all awesome because I was also working with golly, I can see his face. This is bad. I'm brain farting on his name right now. But he's this Rob. He's gonna kill me if he ever sees this. But Rob S. I can't remember his last name right now. Anyway, he's an amazing photographer, and he also does 3D modeling and all this stuff. So he was teaching some of the game classes down there as well, and he ended up getting. As far as I know, he's still working at. I think he's working for Amazon. I can't remember the specific branch, but he does all of their professional photography stuff when they're doing like, showing garments on models and stuff like that. And so he showed up to the game jam for a few hours and was like, I'll take some photos for you. I was like, cool. I was taking photos that were like garbage on my phone or whatever. And then I saw him walking around taking photos, and then he sent them to me later, and it was like all super professional, like magazine quality. I was like, oh.
That's too
So
cool.
I'm very grateful to him because yeah, it was a super fun experience, and we have like all these amazing like professional quality photos of it all. So yeah, so that's what I use as the header, because I would say that's what I enjoy the most, is like getting to work with a bunch of people, especially hopefully inspiring students to, start actually making things instead of just thinking about making games, and actually doing it. And yeah, that experience of being with a bunch of people working on something creative like that is, it's the best. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely something special. That's great. That's really cool. So, wow, that's a lot taken. That's cool. What a story. What have we got next for us? Oh yeah,
Rob Stebler, by the way, his name's Rob Stebler.
There it
Rob
is.
I'm gonna
Stebler.
feel really bad if yeah, there we go. Yeah. Anyway.
Rob Stebler. We remembered your name. Well, he looked it up
Yes.
probably, but.
Ouch! It was while I was starting to type it. I was like, oh yeah, okay, now. I
Oh,
remember.
okay.
It was all of 20 viewers that were on the line, man. You
Yeah,
didn't sacrifice that.
all 20
Yeah,
of them.
he's up in Madison, Wisconsin, with Shopbop. That's the name of the company. But
Okay.
Awesome. Cool. Let's see. We got. Okay. How did the idea of the game come about initially?
so actually, this is the thing. The game has changed radically over time, because the initial,
Yeah.
really kind of the initial idea for it was, does anybody know about Mount and Blade by chance?
I've
doubt-
heard of it.
Yep.
It's pretty
Keeps
obscure.
talking about this.
So Mount and Blade, I don't think, McGuire, have you even tried it?
No, but I know too much about it because of you.
It's a really fun game. So Mount and Blade is like this game that has been around since, I think I've been playing it since like 2004 or something. And the way I play it is basically you can ride around on a horse and circle around people that are not on horse. It's like a medieval setting, and you can ride around on your horse around people that are on foot and shoot arrows into them until they're all dead, and then you collect all their loot and then do it again with larger and larger groups, basically. And that's the fastest way I can think to describe it anyway. And it's third person. And but it was, it's this old indie game that's kind of grown, and now they have a bunch of different versions. So I love Mount and Blade, and there's parts of the gameplay that I really enjoy and other parts that I didn't. So I started thinking, well, what if you had that type of gameplay, but as like it was initially thought of as like a space shooter where you'd be flying around, like I kind of imagined Mount and Blade, but with a Cowboy Bebop style.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so I made a prototype of it. Like I was saying, I mean, probably the first prototype I had done, I mean, over a weekend or, within 2 weeks or something like that of the idea. And then I'd say within the first 6 months, I thought, oh, okay, I'm pretty close to what I want with this even. And the idea was you'd kind of go bounty hunting, and there would be a world map, and then you would find groups of bounties, or there would be like a bounty leader, and for a higher bounty, they have a bunch of thugs around them and stuff like that. And so, which, I mean, it would all just be like spaceships essentially. Like if you've seen Cowboy Bebop, I think the idea kind of makes sense. So I'd still love, like, at Cowboy Bebop, like the cowboy bounty show that they have on there. So I kind of like that whole idea with it.
Good stuff.
And but then as I was prototyping it, it was like, okay, this is either going to get super like feature creeped to death, or I have to start stripping things way back. And so I kind of slowly started cutting it way back to just be focused on flying around shooting stuff. And I had also been playing a lot of a game called Devil Daggers, which I don't know if you've seen Devil Daggers, but Devil Daggers is super streamlined, just kind of Quake style running and gunning, but you're in a little arena, and it just gets insanely difficult very quickly. So I think like Devil Daggers is about how long can you survive, basically. And I think the longest I've ever survived was like maybe a minute and a half, or maybe 2 minutes or something like that. But some people can last 5 minutes or whatever, And so that's why I started thinking,
achievement.
Huh?
Then you get the one achievement on there. They
Yeah,
have
right.
one achievement, and it's like if you last 500 seconds, you can
Oh,
get
is
this
that
one
what
achievement.
is that? Oh, that doesn't surprise. I never really
Yeah.
go after achievements, so I that's hilarious. I haven't checked that.
Yeah.
But Devil Daggers is amazing. It's like $5, and I really recommend it. So I started thinking, well, what if I could like kind of tweak this to be just the, like, I don't want to say bare minimum, more like just hone it down to the essence of this idea of flying around, shooting and dodging. But like in Devil Daggers, you're like a character running around on the ground, and so the twist with this is essentially that now you're moving in full 3D space. And that was kind of how the current form of Skycadia, like there's so much code in there that is all like just commented out or not being used right now from the earlier versions, that McGuire graciously spent some time cleaning up some of my code just so that he could see how insane it was. I guess. I don't know why you
James,
volunteered
I don't want to
for
talk
that.
about that.
And yeah, so then I think McGuire, it started getting to a point where I was like, even with this way stripped back version, this is going to take me forever to finally actually release it, just because there's so much that goes into making a game. I'm doing all this debugging and stuff, and I want to focus on the game design more. And I'm really bad about deciding on a visual style, because I'm always like, this could be like a Nausicaa style, like a Studio Ghibli Nausicaa style. And I don't know how you pronounce it, but it's Nausicaa. I always think of. I think in the. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I always called it Nausicaa, like almost like. I don't know. I think everybody calls it something different, so don't worry about it.
And that's one of those movies. I guess I must have seen it when I was pretty young, and all of the the giant bugs and the ships and everything like that kind of have had a heavy effect on. And of course, then like realizing now, looking back at games I played in the '90s and stuff, that all those game developers were influenced by Studio Ghibli stuff as well.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, so this is like really seeped into my subconscious. So that was one of the second passes that I was thinking about with Skycadia, was kind of making it where you feel like you're flying around in the ships from Nausicaa. And part of the idea was I started making these volumetric clouds and making it so that like, well, maybe you can hide in clouds and you have to come out and do like attack runs on larger ships and go hide again. But again, it was one of those things that I spent all this time implementing that stuff. And then there was some point where I just was realizing it's not really that fun doing that. It's like an interesting idea, but it's not super fun actually doing it. or at least not the way I implemented it.
Mhm.
But so then I'm always having these different ideas of like, it could be that type of setting, or Cowboy Bebop, or futuristic, or old, or magic, or whatever. And so when McGuire came on, he just started making ships, and I was like, those look cool. And now it has the style it has entirely because I think McGuire just made stuff without paying attention to me too much about it, which I think is good. So
I slightly chipped in occasionally. Then I was like, "Hey, is this okay?" And he's like, "Okay." Then I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna not tell you about the rest. I'm just gonna keep going."
And it was awesome because I think it, I didn't know what his idea for the style was. I mean, he had some sketches and things like that were cool. And so that's where I was like, well, I trust you. And essentially it was like, I have to trust you to do this stuff because the reason I'm getting you to help me with this because I don't have enough time to do it. So,
right.
And I trusted him from I knew how much work he put into anything I saw him doing. So that was why I trusted him basically. So,
it's really cool. We actually had a couple of comments. You wanted to read those off?
Cool, yeah.
Read those off, Faith.
First one says Mountain Blade 2 just came out, pretty interesting. And then
Yeah,
we have
cool.
another comment from Snoopy that says, "Hello, I really dig the idea at Xbox demo Skycadia, and I'm looking forward to seeing more."
Oh, cool! Yay!
And then,
we just almost killed ourselves making that demo, so we appreciate it.
Oh yeah.
Good.
and then the last comment says, "Hell yeah, Studio Ghibli is awesome." So,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're all in good company here. I think everybody here loves Ghibli, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Everybody loves
Yeah.
Studio Ghibli.
I remember at like the middle of the night, he texted me for more models to make before the demo. Yeah.
That's normal, right?
Yeah.
I don't think we did too bad with the. If it makes you feel any better, I was then up later than that doing this. So.
Yeah.
Well, and with kids and stuff, that's where it's always like I have a free minute to do stuff, but. But yeah, we were a part of the Xbox One Summer Game Demo Fest that they did, which was really cool because, I mean, it's the type of thing that I don't know that we normally would have been able to be part of it. Like if it was at PAX or whatever, they would have normally have been planning to do it. So they ended up making it this fully online digital event where upcoming games were showing off their demos, and so that kind of kicked my butt to like actually try to get something pushed out. So that was exciting. This is my first time like not being at a studio releasing something on a console, and so I'm I was like, I'm aware of a lot of the stuff that goes into it, but actually implementing it myself in my own disaster of code, it was another thing entirely. So I do like right now I'm doing pretty much all the programming, but I always tell people I'm not a programmer. I'm like a game designer that taught themselves how to program just out of like I don't know, force of will or whatever, so, and the way I program is,
Is it self-hate?
Self-hate, yeah. I mean, because it's basically like, I want to make this game and I don't have the money to pay somebody else to program it. So I have to do it basically, so, yeah, so.
It's too funny. I didn't fall for the trap, thankfully. I actually had a very strong, like, romanticized image of what is it, cybersecurity was, right? And that's where I started going to school for it, and I didn't even realize it when I was in Roane State getting my 2-year degree, and then I went to, and I did plenty of programming to get my 2-year degree, and then I went to college, and I was like, I'm still programming. And I really hate it. I absolutely hate it.
Oh no!
I have to ask you, what was your romanticized image of cybersecurity? I don't see.
Literally black hats, white hats, gray hats. Literally the whole.
Just dressed up in a fedora and a trench coat. I'm gonna go in a Matrix.
Yeah.
We all wish it was the Matrix.
We all wish it was the Matrix. Let's be honest. No, I mean, honestly, I probably wouldn't have been bad if I let a team of people that they took care of things. Like but like that's where I'm best at, right? I'm best with people, right? I'm not
Right.
good with like the separated, like on the computer all day long, like focused on a screen. Like it would drive me insane.
Yep.
But yeah, that's why I'm doing.
That's
what
why I
I'm doing.
like teaching. Yeah, that's why I like teaching a lot, because I obviously use computers all the time, but you probably you've been able to tell already. I like talking a lot too. I'm getting paid to talk a
That's
lot
okay.
when I'm a teacher, so it's
You're
kind of
fine.
works out well.
By the way, we almost glossed over it because we mentioned all the comments and stuff. So I want to go back to what we were saying. You were saying how much you trust McGuire. Basically, what we're saying, McGuire, is thank you so much that for keeping him on track and getting the game out faster.
Yeah, exactly.
I kind of have to.
Yeah.
I don't think it would come. Yeah, I don't think it would come out because I would have probably just kept changing visual directions, and then I mean, I have dozens and dozens of projects like that are I mean, like from a kind of a development standpoint, I would say 60 to 70% of the engine is there. But then I'm always changing, like, oh, I could do this visual style or this visual style, and I could do this type of story or this type of story. And yeah, having somebody else there to be like, there's some expectation of this, like actually turning into something, definitely helps. And then I think it's worked really well. I think we've made a pretty good team so far.
Yeah.
And then kind of on top of that, despite all the craziness with COVID, it's actually, there's been a lot of online events and things like that have given us some external deadlines that for me is the only way. I mean, to me, having real deadlines is the only way to actually get stuff done. Like that's what right now I'm like trying to get our game ready for the Steam Autumn edition of the Game Festival thing that they do, which I'll share that too. I just right before this got our event set up. We'll be doing a live stream of that on Wednesday, which is the day that starts.
Oh, okay.
That's cool.
And hopefully I'll have these bugs worked out before then. So people's eardrums aren't exploding and they're like, where are the audio settings? They don't exist yet. Okay.
Too funny. Yeah. I wanted to mention that before we actually move along, that you said, about, what is it? You'll get caught up in one thing, and of course, when you say that you can do something one way, then you have to change all sorts of things with programming
exactly.
and all that, and you almost go nowhere with them. And I was thinking that brought me back to you mentioned plenty of anime so far, so I'm going to go ahead and just mention one. Don't Mess with It, Izoken, which came out not long ago, and it's all about animation development. Right, it's a group of girls that are trying to make anime, basically. And,
interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and
I've seen that one. I like the money hungry one.
Yeah,
it's my favorite one.
But she's the one that keeps them on track, because they would have done nothing the whole time, right? They kept on going all these directions. She's just like, sit down and do it. We have this is our deadline. They're like,
That's why you always need somebody acting as the producer, even if it's just between two people. I don't know. I think we complement each other pretty well. We probably both act as producer for the other one a little bit or something, so.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. You should check it out. Good anime. And if you haven't seen it yet, you should. Too funny. So I was thinking we could get into the game here in a second, because we're getting into like almost an hour and a half, I think. Oh yeah, we're at an hour and a half, and I'm pretty sure Faith has things she needs to do, and I know I don't want to put it. I want to talk to you guys.
I just have a cat trying to swat me.
That's okay. I'd love to talk to you guys forever, but we should probably move it along. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring up the game, and we'll start playing. Let's see.
I guess I'll just say if we can't get the audio working or that's too loud, we'll just say the music is super nice. Actually, the music's kind of interesting. I was just kind of looking around for music on. There's a website called Open Game Art that has open source music and sound effects and art, stuff like that. I mean, it's one of those things where um, I would pay for some music if I could and stuff like that, but just that, there's always something. And
I sort of came in, I smacked the keyboard out of his hand and said, "Use this asset."
did you send the
I send
music?
you the link for it. I sent you that.
Oh, okay. You get credit for that then. Okay. I
Take all the
can't
credit.
remember. You found it. All right. Nice. Okay. Okay.
We both bought like that really big asset bundle. Then I just pointed you towards it.
The
Remember?
music?
Yeah, I pointed you towards the music in the bundle. I showed
But
you all
that-
like all
but-
the lists for it.
But this one wasn't. This is just free stuff.
This part?
Yeah, Juhani Junkala. I actually talked with him just a
Oh.
little bit. So the guy that made this music, no, this is just free stuff from Open Game Mart.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
See, okay, see,
Wait,
okay.
what did you use for me then?
For maybe the sound effects is what you're thinking about. I'm not sure. I may
Oh,
have used
okay,
sound
okay.
effects that you sent. That may be it, which is also a major part of it, of course. I'm sorry though. It's even though for me music is like one of the most important parts of games, it still ends up being one of the last things. That's why there's no audio controls right now or anything, just because like if the game itself is not functioning, it's like the audio becomes a lower priority. So
Right. All right. I think. Oh, didn't connect. Okay. Let's try that again.
tell me if you can hear piano coming through my audio. I'll mute myself from it.
Oh, that's all right.
There's some piano practicing going on in the background.
Okay, this controller does not want to stay on. Could you grab me some of those batteries over there?
Yeah. You need to.
Yeah, just grab
Yeah.
two.
I got my controller plugged in with a USB just because I was like, I know if I try to do this on a stream, the wireless part of it is just
Okay.
not going to work.
Right. All right.
You can bring her over for a minute. It's fine. It's okay, Jamie. She can bring. I'm gonna have a baby for a minute. It's okay. Hi.
That is
She's
working out.
adorable, so that helps.
We'll have to move this back.
Or are you gonna
Okay.
stay?
I don't know why it's not connecting.
She's gonna go play with the water or something like that. She's gonna get in that water. You can play with mouse and keyboard. I guess I should mention that's actually what I've been messing with the past 2 days. Is like making sure that actually functions. Yeah, and actually, McGuire just made this new start screen environment pretty recently, and I just basically threw it in there so far. But we're planning on making it so there's some animations going on in there, and that the menus. Well, we'll have to play around with. I don't know how much we're going to make it where. If you're actually moving around in the space for the menus, because I know that can just be frustrating as a player, but we want to make it so that you feel kind of like you're hanging out in this environment. Have you seen Porco Rosso?
Yes, I have.
So that's kind of more the direction we start going with. At least the vibe of it is
Right.
like kind of Porco Rosso, hanging out in the bar, getting some bounties, and then going out and doing his thing. So. Oh, let's see.
It's overheating.
Something's catching on fire.
Our game's too hot. It's too popular.
Yeah, am I allowed to just shamelessly say, please go wish list the game, because even if you don't want to buy it, it helps us.
Oh,
Just
no,
PayPal
you're
us,
totally gonna
just
do
skip
that.
buying the game.
Yeah, so we're planning on. So we'll be part of the Steam Game Festival Autumn Edition that's starting on October 7th, and then it's going to be. I think it's running for 6 or 7 days, and I still haven't totally decided if we're going to keep the demo up afterwards or if we're going to only keep it during that limited time. Because the way I've been kind of looking at these limited demo releases is letting people try out the game and then giving us a bunch of feedback so we can go back and hopefully make improvements. And yeah, so basically after that, though, the planned release date is December 8th right now, just for a variety of reasons. It's like that looks like the day. So,
Okay.
so pretty soon, hopefully enough time to make it feel like a real game to other people. That's always the idea anyway.
Right. I don't know.
Did he just leave? No.
I don't know.
I'm
I don't
done.
know if he's trying to find another controller that will potentially work or.
He just got in his car and just left.
Yep.
If you all want, I mean, the thing is, I could screen share. I have mine ready to go as well. So
Yeah, if we
Or
can't
it's
get
gonna-
it, we may need to do that if we can't get it.
Yeah,
to,
it might.
cooperate.
I don't know
I
how
got
well
it. I
do
just
it.
the controller. Well, it's not the controller. The adapter. I think the adapter's dead.
Oh.
It keeps on disconnecting everything. So I can't hear you guys. So when you're talking, but
Okay, talk about him.
Let's all
So
talk
I'm gonna
bad
just
about
connect
him
the
behind
wire.
his back. Come on.
and
He'll never know.
there you go.
Okay. Cool.
Are they talking smack about me?
No.
That's okay. They go
No.
ahead. Go ahead.
No.
Knew it.
Feel free to talk smack about me.
Fucking knew
It's all
it.
my fault. I ruined the entire live stream. It's over. That went the YouTube career. It's all over.
She's got his headphones back on. Quick.
Too funny. Yeah, if this doesn't work, then we'll do something else.
Yeah, if that doesn't work, you can do mouse and keyboard as well. So,
Okay.
but I think it's a bit more fun with. I just always think games are more
He
fun
says
with
you may have to use
controllers.
mouse at least to start up the game though.
Oh.
So. If
think?
that, if,
Yeah, try just clicking play and then see if it works.
Now it's working. Cool.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Alright.
Yeah, I know. And right now, actually, they do the menu items do highlight, but it's like very light. So that's another thing I'll be. It was actually I was planning on switching that, like, but you know, there's a million little things like that.
Oh
that
wow.
I gotta do.
Okay, pitch and yaw direction. Oh gosh. Ah.
Oh yeah, there's no tutorial, by the way. It's just start pressing buttons until.
Yeah.
oh, this button does things.
It
There
does,
you go.
doesn't it? Oh, that's just super far away. Got it. Did I get one? I don't know. Oh, I got one. There it is. Oh gosh. I'm already at like half health. That is disappointing. All right. Whoa. Okay. These guys aren't too difficult to kill. I was same with me. Got it.
Hey, you got your biggest bounty collected. Good job.
And you need to
I made-
replace that.
I made.
You need
What?
to replace that pixel art with the new stuff I made.
What? There's even newer stuff. I thought.
Yeah,
that was
remember the
new
newer
stuff.
ant I made?
Oh yeah. Well, I
Yeah,
still
yeah.
like that ant.
Those are ugly.
We're always
I don't
gonna
like
argue
those.
about those. I like that ant more. Okay, I'll replace it if you want me to.
Or you could put both.
Actually I
Guys,
should
let's not
because
argue.
I think we could just have more variety with them.
I would rather design more.
Oh geez, okay.
That's how
Still like
selfish I
that
am.
ant. Oh yeah, I don't know. Well, yeah.
Oh.
Oh.
You should try this, man. Here. So tell me, what is the most difficult thing program-wise that you had to overcome for this game? Like, what's one thing that like frustrated you to no end? You couldn't figure out a way to make it work.
I mean, probably a lot of it was stuff that we're not even using anymore. You have no idea how much time I spent on like clouds and making AI aware of clouds and all this stuff, and we just totally don't use that anymore, for example.
Right.
Because of the idea of like being able to dodge in and out of clouds, and it would break line of sight. It is optimized to where you can have like at least several hundred enemies flying around. So that was, I mean, a lot of it for me was having to learn how to actually program stuff and think things through intelligently instead of what I can normally do, like on prototypes and stuff, is just kind of throw things in and you don't have to worry about optimization. So from a coding standpoint, I would say a lot of it was optimization stuff with this boring, it's boring sounding stuff, but it's kind of it's fun from a programming standpoint when you see like, oh, I'm getting like a 30% better frame rate because of some minor code change I made or stuff. It's like,
Right.
yes, feels good, so
Oh, no.
that's what I always like about optimizing stuff. Like as a game designer, a lot of times you make changes and you're like, I mean, hopefully you're making things more fun, but sometimes you're making decisions that are just, some people are going to like it this way and some people are going to like it this way,
Right.
but when you're coding, it's most of the time you either made something better or not. And so there's something always kind of nice about that feeling of, I know I optimized this. I know I did good or not, basically.
Yeah.
So,
by the metric,
Yeah.
it's doing better.
right. Yeah, exactly.
And you can consider that a success. I got you.
The best you did was the very first time, I think.
Oh,
So
she's playing now, so.
the way that the bounty works is when you blow up an enemy, they drop coins that you have to collect.
That you have to collect. You have to collect the coins as well, huh?
Yeah, because that's partially like a design decision of, I didn't want to make it so that if you got money just from them dying, what you could do is just fly around the like collidable stuff, like all those icebergs and everything, and they're pretty dumb AI. They'll run into stuff pretty easily because I like seeing them crash into each other and stuff like that. And I wanted to make it so that you couldn't just keep flying around in circles and collecting money without kind of getting into the fray, basically. So
Right.
Yeah, that's the first
also,
thing
by
I
the
did.
way, this is also like, I tweaked the game, like the difficulty ramp up, and have barely tested it. So you are probably playing on like the difficulty level, like the highest difficulty level for the game designer of the game. So I apologize.
Okay. No worries.
I was
fine.
probably going to dial it back. So the thing was, when we did the Xbox One demo event, a lot of people liked it, but they felt like that the action kind of took too long to get started.
Ooh.
Right.
And so I very quickly ramped up how quickly everything starts happening, and have barely tested it, and that's what you're playing right now. So you're the first play testers live right now, so I apologize for that, but
Don't worry about it, man. It's awesome. Like, we're happy we get the opportunity to do it.
Yeah.
It's really cool. So one thing everybody says that they think of what is it, Star Fox every time they see
Star
the game.
Fox.
That's what a lot of people say.
that's McGuire's fault. No.
It's all your
Yeah.
fault, McGuire. No,
A big
it's a good thing.
inspiration
It's a
because
good thing.
I've been recently playing a lot of Star Fox on like the Switch because they had like the NES classics and stuff like that.
Right.
So so since we were
game.
working on a Sky game, and since he wanted like insects in it too, I thought mixing it up and making it sort of like birds versus insects was a really cool concept, contrast to Star Fox stuff. And
Yeah.
sort of like a lot of my design standpoints, since it was like on a retro console, was design it around like that kind of old medium too.
Right. Gosh, the artwork and everything. So that's another thing. What on the design level? Because I'm sure that there's some stuff that you had troubles with.
No.
On a design level, what were some of the most difficult things that you've
You're doing better.
come
That's good.
across?
I'm watching.
Yeah, that you've come across, like things that you need to fix, stuff like that. Like, I'm guessing collision, all of that. Like, what are some of the most difficult things design-wise that you had to worry about when making the game?
I mean, technically, the most technical stuff was just texture mapping in general, just getting them all retexture mapped. Because like Ian wanted to change it from materials to texture map, so I had to do that for all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That was
so
a
that's
big overhaul.
that was so that's part of like since and I'm not saying anything bad about McGuire, but this is the first time he's making something that's going to be like on a bunch of different platforms.
Yeah.
And
Right.
so he's we've been having to discuss like what are all the optimizations you have to make, and what he's talking about now is where initially like the enemies, like different colors, used a bunch of different what are called materials, and basically there go the dogs. All right.
Yeah.
Somebody rang the doorbell.
That was great. Look at that. She got 290. Heck, now I have
Oh,
to beat
nice.
it. Now I have
Very
to beat
nice.
it.
Good. Yeah.
Sorry, keep
go.
going.
So-
Yeah.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Keep going. That's what I was saying. Go ahead. Keep going. Tell us some more.
Well, yeah. So with that optimization, it's like where if you have a bunch of different materials happening, all of that has to get loaded into memory.
Right.
And so what can be more efficient is having one material that has a small texture that has a bunch of different colors on it, and then basically mapping all the different ships and everything like that to use that. And I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain without maybe showing some examples and stuff. But so yeah, I made McGuire. I didn't make you. I only did that like halfway through doing all the art, right?
Yeah, pretty much. So like all the other half of the ships, I had to like redo it. Another thing for me
Yeah.
that was a tad bit difficult was just
Oh,
trying
they
to
need
keep.
an ID.
Oh, another thing
Wait,
that was
no,
a
no, I
tad
got
bit
it here.
difficult for me was trying to keep
That's fine.
consistency with the models, you know? Because since they all had to be insect themed and like they had like different levels and stages, I had to keep a design point stand for all of them. Sort of like thinking about it like I guess a comparison would be like thinking about how Pokemon evolutions are.
Yep.
Would be like how I kind of picked out the design points for each of the ships and stuff like that.
So when did you start working on this game?
I don't remember.
Well, so yeah, I mean, my first prototype was probably like 5 years ago, but then McGuire, I think I asked McGuire to start helping me
This was Boost.
in March or April. Well, I think it may have been right after you graduated, because I am very careful about like not asking a current student to work. Actually, this is the first time I've ever done anything like this, because obviously I think there's major ethical concerns with like having students also working on a game that I'm planning to sell or anything. So
Right.
it was basically right after McGuire graduated. I may have been talking to him about the idea before he graduated, but once he graduated, then we talked about it. And I'll just be totally blunt too. I told him like, I was like, this is a bad bet for you because like I don't have the money to pay you, so I can only give you like 1% of the profits if
Right.
there are profits. So that's
Right.
you know, it's like, and I told him normally I really would not recommend doing something like that, but I said, I mean, at the very least, I will promise you, as long as I don't get killed or something like that, we'll release it on Xbox One, so you'll be able to say I've released a console title, you know, so that
Right.
would at least help with his resume
close.
and hopefully have something to add to his portfolio that he's
Yeah.
proud of and everything like that.
Yeah.
So
I mean, if I knew this after coronavirus's death chance just kind of went up, so I might have backed out.
might not, but you at least have access to it, so you could have finished it off yourself. So
Could have stolen the project and finished myself.
nobody would know. Nobody else would know. It'd be all right. So, but yeah, I mean, I think that's normally I tell students, do not do stuff for experience or whatever, like unpaid experience. It's like, unless you're doing a mod or something like that, then I normally
Right.
would never recommend that. But, you know, I talked to him about, here's all the things, like I tried to just be as transparent as possible. And we set up an actual contract where, you know, we agreed to a percentage of the profits that he would be paid from whatever profits it makes and stuff like that. So, yeah. And that way too, I mean, I think that does make it fair that if it is a runaway hit, then you know, you're getting more than what I would have probably just paid for the individual assets and everything. And actually, McGuire still retains the rights to all of the art. So I basically, if McGuire was like, I don't want you, like if Skycadia is super popular and then I want to make a sequel, it would actually still be up to McGuire if I wanted to reuse any of the characters or ship designs or anything like that. So I tried to make it
Right.
something that felt as fair as we could make it, basically with, you know, in mind too, that it's like, I mean, I have been working on this for a long time, so how do we balance that? So
Yeah, definitely. It's that's really good. I was thinking about this. Sorry, I got distracted by the game. But
Yay,
so
good.
yeah, good. That's a good thing, right? Yeah, that's what you want to hear.
Hopefully.
Absolutely. So what I was thinking was, you guys see, I tell people all the time, like, don't fall for the school trap. Like, just if you want to do, you know, game design, get into game design, go to game jams, get to know people,
Yeah,
you know,
right.
push,
Yeah, no,
like
totally.
learn the skill, like make games, you know.
Right. Yeah.
If you want to, back in the day, if you wanted to be a blacksmith, you didn't like
No.
you didn't necessarily go to school to be a blacksmith. Usually you went and you were apprenticed to somebody,
Right.
and you became a
Right.
blacksmith. You learned the job, right?
Right.
And it's same with film. I've noticed that with a lot of people, they end up going to film school, and it's like, yeah, you make a lot of friends there that could give you some potential, but like if you just start filming, you never know. Like if it's your passion shines through, if you you really got something that you want to share with the world, like really just start pushing it out there. I've seen so many people that have made amazing things that have never gone to school or never could afford to go to school,
Right.
and they're successful. You know, they have amazing stories that are very inspirational.
Well, McGuire, do you want to maybe address that, and then I'll give my little spiel about that?
Yeah, sure. I agree with you to an extent. I think
Yeah.
that's like a good point because one thing is my dad owns his own business and I usually worked with him and I picked up a lot of skills from him. He basically is a interior remodeler, so I basically know how to like do tiling work. I know how to build a porch and stuff like that, and I picked that all up outside of school. And I think that's a good point to make where you can pick up skills. I do still feel like if you ever want to like learn something or do a subject, it's really good idea to like do at least an introductory course of that thing just to get a feel.
Right.
Then if you want to continue on your education, you should do that. But if you feel like you can learn more on your own, definitely take a step back, start learning things on your own, seeing where you can go off from there, you know?
Yeah.
So I think school is more of a should be considered more of a jumping off point rather than like the norm in how people see it a lot of the times.
Right. Sorry, I didn't get to finish my statement. I mean, school's
sorry.
fantastic. School's fantastic. I'm not going to talk down about school. I mean, you're a teacher. I wouldn't actually do that unless I had something.
Well,
you
no,
know?
I'm gonna talk down about it a little bit too. So, but go ahead.
Because I really find that there's some seriously important things that people don't realize, and that's that schooling, it's fantastic in so many ways, right? Not only the people that you meet, not only the things that you get to learn, you know, because like typically if you're going on your own, you're going on your own. You don't have like the structure. You don't have, you know, some people need that too, and those are some important factors. But like you build relationships, friendships, and most of the time, whenever you do find jobs, you know, out and about in the world, it's usually through other people, right? And the thing is, I think that there are good things about school, but there's almost a misconception in the United States, especially, that like you have to go to school. You
Right.
must go to school, and like people rack on all this debt, and they may have never needed to go to school, right? These
Right.
spend thousands and thousands of dollars, and they didn't need it, you know. And it, so I try and tell people, if you're truly that passionate, you know, go for it. You know, like
Yeah.
you're smart enough. I know you can figure it out on your own. You know, go for it.
Before I forget, I just have to mention, I don't
Go
know
ahead.
why that ship is showing up as pink, but it's something we have to look at.
Yeah,
It
write down a
looks
note.
kind of cool anyway, but I was going to mention, like, so I totally agree that one of the reasons I teach at community college, because I think, you know, a lot of times I tell people that I teach at community college and you kind of assume it's like, oh, you can't teach at a university or something. I have actually been offered jobs at universities and private colleges, like, you know, well, I don't think I've been offered a job at Full Sail, but there's some other private colleges, but you probably know about Full Sail. And I don't mean to bash anybody. Hopefully I don't get in trouble with anybody. But I mean, the thing is, one of the reasons I teach at a community college is our classes are $300 a quarter per class, something around
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
You're not, I feel like, and I try to tell students that too. It's like getting my degree, that piece of paper is not going to get you a job. It's a portfolio that if you have that drive to learn from my experience and stuff like that, and I'm not saying this to toot my own horn, but I mean, I've been making games for a really long time. I've worked at studios and everything. So
Yeah.
I would be excited to be, you know, have that opportunity to basically have a pretty cheap way to get to learn directly from somebody that has that type of firsthand experience. I've met multiple people that, got the full degree from Full Sail, for example, where it's like they got a job in the game industry, but they are in such crippling student loan debt that they expect to never pay off their student loan debts in their life. And it's like, I feel like I wouldn't feel okay teaching, knowing that a lot of students they're not going to end up getting a job in the game industry for a variety of reasons. And I've saddled them with $120,000 of student loan debt, and so that's something that I think that at least at the community college level, I can feel pretty good about, like what McGuire was talking about, where I can kind of get people started, or if you've already gotten started, get you on the right track to actually being able to apply confidently for positions without being like breaking the bank. And I mean, the thing is too, a lot of times I'm very frank with my students about, like, unless you really love this, you literally just can't imagine doing something else, I always recommend, like, if you don't know what else to do, go get a trade degree that you're going to be able to get a job, or like what you're talking about, if there's something that you're really passionate about. Like, to me, ideally, I would have students that are applying for and getting jobs even before they've graduated, because I'm just trying to get you off the ground, basically, so.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have to say, I'm also excited because I can see that you're building up the skills in the game that I'm I think it's too hard right now. I'm already taking notes on what I'll be modifying for sure, but
absolutely.
But I see you, like, you blow them up, then you boost to go pick up the coins and stuff. So good job.
Yeah, she's actually better at it than me. She's played this more, like, other games, like, we would trade off the controller too much, and like we would never get good, or like I would play too much and she would be like terrible at it, and I'm just like, right now she's really good at it, so I'm like, I'll just let her play. Like,
I think you're getting pretty close to the highest score I've gotten in this build, actually, because
really? Cool.
I definitely made it so that there's way too much. Normally there were not so many of the enemies that shoot at you, so that you could actually dodge their bullets and stuff, and I went a little crazy with their spawning, it looks like, so I'm gonna have to tweak those numbers again. But I think that's always the hard thing working on stuff like this is, I would like to just be spending all my time on the balancing, but the past couple of hours that I've been able to put into this with class and family and everything like that, almost all that time has been just making sure all the menus are working properly to put it on Steam. And you're seeing already, like, I need to add in the audio controls in the menu, like adding config stuff, and there's always more to do, so it's always a balancing act.
Man, yeah, this. Whew, I really, I love the ideas. So what's like, when you're done with like, is there going to be like story and stuff to this as well? Like, once the full release comes out.
Well, yeah, McGuire, do you want to talk about that a little bit? Kind of what we've been thinking about for that.
I mean, so for the most part, we just want to make it like this kind of sandboxy kind of gameplay in it. But for the story and stuff, we are planning to make things like bounty books that tells you a little bit about each character. Things like have different characters selected, so you can get different stats from each one of them, and they each have their own kind of little background lore. So sort of like outside of the actual storyline of the game, there's like gonna be like little tidbits and pieces that you can pick up as you play.
Yeah,
Another thing that we like kind of want to do is, and I'm not really sure if Ian is still really planning on this, is make like a few mini games that can be implemented inside this game that you can play.
Yeah, if you can jump back to the main menu real quick, we can kind of show a little bit of the idea with that. You can finish this round, it's okay.
Finished.
Good.
0 bounty, oh no. Oh dear, there's another.
That is another one.
There's another bug. There we go.
Oh, man. You kamikazed. This is what happens.
It's that button. There you go.
Right. Let me see if if I do that, there we go. And it looks better that way. That's what I wanted to check. Okay.
That's all the menu stuff I'm talking about. Now I have to go back and code and say, while the fade is happening, don't allow them to hit start then and stuff.
Right.
So in here, does that work with a joystick? Do you have to click?
It does not. Yeah, I think I'm because
that's
I'm
what
hitting
I was saying.
all of
I
the
think
buttons.
I realized that one button is click only right now. So you have to click. There you go. Well, anyway, you don't even have to click on anything. So McGuire built this kind of like, this is like the bar environment thing that we kind of want to make it so that this is like where you're getting kind of the tidbits of the setting from. Actually, you can't look around right now, but to your left there's 2 arcade machines, so we wanted to make some really simple little, like maybe kind of like a themed lunar lander type of thing, and then like I don't know, maybe a breakout clone or something, or maybe a little
like a
thing
knockoff Flappy Bird.
Yeah, so
Right.
Just something that's like probably one of those games will end up being what people actually play for the high scores or whatever. But then having it so that like when you by navigating the menus, it's like you're looking around this environment, and like what McGuire was talking about, having like a bounty book where you have kind of a short description about the different characters. Just the idea would be kind of to give it just enough feeling of like Mario games or anything, where it's not like there's this deep story, but that you feel like there's a world behind it. And that's what we're hoping to kind of push that. But yeah, there's always like right now I want to make it so that like the game isn't, it's so frustrating to play that people stop after the first 3 tries or whatever.
Right.
So,
well, I can tell you, I wanted to keep trying, so it's definitely not like that. So.
Oh, cool. Okay. Well, yeah. The thing was, I think in the demo event, I mean the Xbox demo event, people were getting further into it, but I guess it was like you'd play for about 3 or 4 minutes, and then they were kind of dying at the same spot every time, and so that's where that gets into like. It's always difficult because as the game designer, I try to imagine what it's like playing for other people, but it's almost impossible to not play the way that like I know is the most optimal way to play. And so that's where we have to get people play testing it, and that's why I'm excited. Yeah. We should have this Steam demo going, and we'll hopefully be getting a lot of feedback from that. But the other nice thing, kind of a side effect of that, is even if we stop the public demo, Steam makes it super easy for me to share private demo keys and stuff, so that we can start getting more people play testing and giving us feedback and everything like that. So and then fantasizing that I'm going to have the time to react to all the feedback and everything. So
right. So that's another thing. What was it? We had a whoa. Okay. Yeah. Wasn't paying attention.
You can crash into the water. Yeah.
Yeah. It's it's not gonna be a cheap fix. So, gosh, what was I gonna say? I was gonna talk about on Steam, like, shoot. Never mind.
Was it about wish lists?
No. I was gonna ask something else. I can't even remember. No, I'm sorry, dude.
You'll have to start playing again, and then you'll remember.
I'll probably remember then. Yeah. So, anyway, keep talking. Tell us more.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, McGuire. Is there stuff you want to add right now? I don't mean to just be blathering.
Well, I did make like a little bit of a sketch for a world map at the moment. So like little preview thing right here.
Yeah. That's.
Oh, okay.
So that's the type of stuff that we're gonna like. He'll scan that in, and we'll clean it up, and we'll make that like that's the world map is gonna be up on the wall. The plan is like right now it's again, this is like I've implemented some of this stuff, but we haven't really balanced any of it. Where right now the environment that you're in is actually being a little bit procedurally generated. Basically, McGuire made these different islands and stuff, and
oh wow! So
they get placed.
So these are just like this isn't a round world. That's like been made and it's just consistent.
Yeah.
It's,
That's something to
being
mention.
generated as we go. Oh,
Well,
that's really
actually,
cool.
we're actually faking it. There's actually four large. Everything is flat, by the way. Everything is actually flat, and then we're using
The flat earthers, they were right the whole time. It was all just a
They're-
mind's eye.
Yeah, exactly. We have something in our eyes. Well, so because in Unity we use something called a shader that will take everything that's flat and make it appear curved.
Right.
So this is not a big globe. It's actually four quads, and as you're flying, it's taking those quads like the planes and it's placing them in front of you. And then I teleport, like if a ship gets too far behind you, it gets teleported back in front of you. So it's meant to feel as if you're flying around this globe.
Okay.
But all of the actual islands that you're seeing get placed randomly each time you play. And the plan is that in the full version, you will be initially you're only going to have like kind of the kind of Mediterranean style islands that has like the hotel and stuff like that. And then as you play and build up, basically build up experience, new areas are getting unlocked. And then on the world map that you can see in the bar scene, places that were covered up in clouds kind of slowly get revealed. And, again, it's one of those things that from a gameplay standpoint, it's not really going to make a huge difference or anything. It's just more like slowly as you're playing, you're going to be getting exposed to new areas and new enemies. And then you can also unlock different characters that have different kind of ship styles, basically. So like, slow with higher damage output versus fast with lower damage output, things like that.
Right. Wowzers. Okay, so tell me about this. Are these enemies like it looks like they're all just firing at you, but they will blow each other up?
They do, yes.
Okay.
They will blow each other up if they shoot each other or if they run into each other.
Right.
And so, but yeah, right now there's way too many of them shooting, by the way.
Yeah.
Normally, the amount of shooting going on right now is like normally what was happening like 4 or 5 minutes into the gameplay, and it's happening after like the first minute. So yeah, I'm sorry, this is literally like probably yesterday I made a bunch of changes to the spawn rates, and then I was changing stuff with menus, so I barely got to test any of it.
That's
Oh,
all
you're
right.
good.
Don't worry about it. We're here to show off your game. Yeah, talk about you. We understand. Yeah. I don't know if I mean, there's some random kids that probably wouldn't understand, but if it's early access, people are like, yeah, it's early access.
I think that's what we've been trying to make it as clear as we can anyway, that in these demo events that it's like this is not the final game at all. The thing is, we are trying to release it soon, so what I'm hoping that we can do is like pretty soon lock down like the core functionality stuff, like just so I'm not worrying about menus and stuff like that. Because if I can even just I've done a bunch of game design, so for me, like if I could just totally focus on balancing the enemies and stuff like that for just a couple of days, I feel like it will help it a lot. And then the other major thing is kind of fleshing out that main menu exploration feel, I would say.
Okay, so we are. What time is it? It is almost 9.
Yeah.
So I think that sounds like a pretty good spot to end it, actually, if you want. Yeah. If you guys, is there anything you guys wanted to talk about? Anything you wanted to share with us?
Yeah, McGuire. I don't know if there's stuff. I wasn't.
No, I think I'm pretty good.
You're good.
Right now,
He's good.
All that's really interesting right now is that I'm working on this little board game thing for a personal project, but it's not really fleshed out that much yet. I don't have I don't have everything made out for it yet, but that's pretty much it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I guess what I wanted to throw in there is that, I like if I were, or if both of us were working on this like full time, I think the game would look a lot different from like, having more of like a single player campaign and all that type of stuff. But it's
Right.
both of us are really working on this kind of like when we can catch free moment, and that was always kind of the idea with it. I think I was pretty clear with McGuire that it was like, I know that what's always hard for me is I've worked at game studios and everything, so I know everything that has to be done for a game. And having to be like, even though I have the ability to do all that stuff, I do not have the time to do what a team of even 10 people does on even a smaller game normally. And so I think that's what we're shooting for, making something that we can be proud of without like killing ourselves doing 40 hours a week on that, on top of, I mean, McGuire, like he was saying, he's doing like, work with his dad doing like house remodeling, which is, pretty exhausting. And then also working on his own personal projects. And
Oh yeah, remember I fell off the roof one time.
I didn't know if you wanted me to tell them about that or not. Well,
I survived it. I didn't get hurt,
Yeah.
surprisingly.
You almost
Good,
broke your head,
good.
right?
Yeah, I almost did, because I felt like it was the weirdest thing. I fell into a dumpster full of like rusted nails,
Ooh.
so I could have died.
Oh,
But like when I
and-
fell in, I was just completely fine, and I freaked out about it when I landed there. I was like, "Oh my
Yeah.
god, what? Oh wait, no, I'm fine."
And you're like, I'm fine, but if I move, I might not be
Get
fine. You've got all
tetanus.
those nails.
Yeah. So I didn't get
Ooh,
cut
I'm
up
so
at all.
sorry.
The worst thing that happened to me was I ripped a pair of jeans.
Yeah.
Oof.
That's pretty much
That's
it.
pretty good.
Yeah,
Better
I'd take
jeans
that
than your
over-
life.
I would take that over anything else.
Yeah.
We had
So, yeah, that's-
we had
Oh, go
one
ahead.
comment. Let's see, Snoopy, it's
Yeah.
great. Go ahead.
Snoopy again said, "It is great to hear about your development process and see how the game is progressing. Thank you for your interview. I'm wish listed and ready to play."
Oh, thank you,
thank you.
Snoopy. Yay. Oh, yeah, we do very much appreciate the wish list. Yeah, it's been really fun. I mean, from my perspective, I'm just always happy. Like, I don't know, there's something about once you get over like a couple of other people playing like that, it's like kind of outside of your realm of just personal friends and family and stuff like that, that's one of my favorite parts about game development, is just seeing people have fun playing the game. And I don't know, there's just, I know it's going to sound cheesy or whatever, but that's always my favorite part of like designing a game, is when I see somebody like, for an example, at my last job, where I had a bunch of programmers and stuff that were working on these changes, and I knew that they were normally just testing stuff, and and then like we made a bunch of changes based off of a prototype I made, and then hearing them laughing and like seeing them like smiling and actually playing for fun and stuff. I don't know how to describe it. I mean, like I'm getting goosebumps because I don't know why. That's why I like making games. I like playing games a lot, but I really like making games and seeing people get that enjoyment out of something that you designed like that. I just think it's pretty magical, even if it's not like a deep emotionally stirring game or something like that. It's just seeing somebody have fun with something you made like that I really like that. It's cool.
I'm glad to hear it. That's awesome. We're glad to hear it. Is there anything else you want to tell the world, share with everyone?
Wish list Skycadia.
Absolutely, everyone.
And try the demo. It'll be available October 7th. It might actually be even a day or two before that, depending. But just be aware that if you're before the 7th, you may be play testing for us.
Also,
yeah, go ahead.
I have a YouTube channel. So I talked to Ian about this. I'm planning to upload like little content stuff about the game and like game development
Cool,
stuff on
okay,
it.
yeah.
It's called Hyena Lobster. So I'm planning to release more content in the future. There's like just old videos right now. So if you want to like look into my private life, you can do that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
cool.
like check that out if anybody ever wants to.
And
Okay.
I guess I would say just really quickly, our Twitter accounts are probably like kind of one of the easiest ways to follow us right now. Again, it's just the two of us. And so I find Twitter is usually my easiest way to share stuff. I upload videos when we can on the YouTube channel and everything, but I can't keep up with every single social media platforms. So Twitter is kind of the best way to follow us right now.
Right.
So.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
actually funny because I had like even Ryan was telling us that he's surprised that like Ryan is our boss over at GameStop. Anyway,
Cool.
he was telling us that he couldn't believe it, but Twitter is still alive and kicking and it's doing well. I'm like, yeah, it's still a
Yeah.
huge thing. Anyway, sorry. So that was it. Stay on with us for a bit.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
We'll be sure to put their Twitter and
Yeah,
McGuire's YouTube
Yep.
channel in the description as well if y'all want to check that out. So
absolutely.
Thank you all so much for having us. This was a lot of fun for me, and we really appreciate Snoopy. Thank you for your wish list. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you
You
guys
got the
for
one most important person.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
Well, those first, a lot of times those first people, they're your best fans that are going to get other people interested in everything. So
Yeah.
we do really
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Absolutely. Everybody, spread the word. Talk about Skycadia. Subscribe to our channel if you want to connect with more cool developers and talk to them, get to know them. Thank you all for watching. We'll see ya.